Okay, everybody, we are ready to go. So I'll just open it up for questions and fire away.
Hey, Marcus, a tank. I was going to get a haircut, but decided to hang out with you first.
Oh man, I appreciate it. I'm actually gonna get one later.
You don't have any hair. I don't either when I get it cut. That's why I'm hesitant. How's everything going? How's the transition been for you, just to the new staff and some new players and all that stuff?
It's been fun. Getting to know a new staff, the opportunity to work for Coach Elliott and Coach Kitchens on offense. It's been a great experience so far. I'm learning a lot and working alongside with Coach 2J and Coach Gaither on the offensive side of the ball, Coach Lamb, and then we got some really young coaches as well who are really talented. So it's been a really good process so far, and just really excited to see what this season has in store. But transition so far has gone really well.
In the Bronco years, the coach at the top was kind of defensive minded. How much different is it to have a guy that likes to put points on the board as much as he likes to stop the other guys?
You get a lot more frequent visits in the offensive staff meetings now, so but it's really good though, and there's a lot of bright minds, like I said, on the offensive side of the ball as well as the defense. But Coach Elliott's resume speaks for himself, and so to have him come in and offer advice, or even in practice, when he's saying things to the receivers, it comes from a place of a lot of knowledge and experience, and just finding ways to help our group and our team perform better. So it's been a good challenge, and like I said, Coach Kitchens is really smart, and really does a good job of developing all of us as coaches and challenging us, and giving us the opportunity to grow. So it's been fun.
And what's your sense maybe of any gains you guys have made in recruiting, just since a lot of these guys have worked the area or nearby at least?
I think relationships are growing. I think that certain connections in certain areas will be stronger in some areas based upon the connections that coaches have had prior to arriving at UVA. So, you'll always know once the proof is in the guys that you sign and how well they do once they get here. So just continuing to strengthen those relationships, continuing to get guys on grounds, the right guys, and get the right guys on the bus to help us go win, and not just win one year, but win consistently. So that's the challenge ahead, and hopefully in a few years we'll be able to tell how much fruits in our labor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Marcus, just looking at this, and you can look in the past and the receiving corps that you've had, have you had this much talent coming back for a season, and kind of, knowing how many guys you got coming back, how much heightened are the expectations for that group, and how have you challenged them with that?
I think the expectations are the same, to be the best group in the country. Like that's the standard, that's the expectation. I'm kind of one of those guys that really doesn't kind of focus on the potential of who we could be or what people think we can be. I just focus on the task at hand every day, and then the work when the season's completed will speak for itself. So as much as who we can be, who we have, to me, it's the work, it's the fundamentals, it's the details, it's all the little things, it's the work. And then at the end, everyone else can talk about whether or not we exceeded expectations or not. But my job is always the same, just focus on the work and the task at hand, and the rest will take care of itself.
And I asked Lavelle the other day, just after having to sit out last year, just where he felt he improved or grew the most. As a coach, where do you think you've seen the most growth in him?
I think he grew as a teammate, because last year he spent without football. And so who he became as a teammate, who he became as a person, I think was his biggest opportunity for growth. And so now he's got the opportunity to go back out in spring ball. We've had our second practice today, and everything's not going to come together at once. He's got to realize and understand he missed the whole year. So it's been a year without him playing football, and to think that everything's going to be back in place by day two, that's a pretty tall bill. So I think just encouraging him to continue to focus on the little things, focus on the appreciation to be able to play the game again, and just knowing that he's not going to get 365 days back in 15 practices. He's got to focus on the little things, take it in stride, and there's a lot of football to be played in the spring and a lot of football to be played in 2022. So just the biggest growth, to answer your question, is as a teammate and as a person.
Kind of following up on that, Marcus, was, Lavelle said that one thing that he changed is not focusing on his body and recovering when he's injured, but focusing on his body to feel good when he's not injured. Have you seen him mentally kind of change how he approaches things and just how he approaches practices, his nutrition and weight room?
Yes, ma'am. And I would say, like, a lot of things with receivers, besides, some catastrophic injuries, most injuries are preventative. So, being proactive, doing things when you do feel well. So getting the right amount of rest, stretching, cold tubs, Normatex, and then also the right amount of nutrition, and then also the amount of rest. And one of the things that I learned when I was in the NFL is not about what you can do, it's about how fast you can recover and do it again. And so just keeping those guys, with the right mindset of taking care of their body is their investment. And so if we can keep them in a healthy place, a state of recovery where they're always recovering after workouts or practices and games and those things, then we can get those guys back faster and fast track to continue to get better. Most guys break down as the season go along. They don't actually play worse. They just break down, their bodies do. So just keeping those guys healthy, keeping them strong, and just keeping them confident that they're doing the right things that will allow their body to flourish and execute at the right time at the highest level.
Hey, Marques, Greg Medea with the Daily Progress. I was wondering, as you guys were putting together the offense, what was it like learning about Tony's background and what he did at Clemson, and Dez and what he did with the Falcons at NC State, and kind of incorporating what you guys did at UVA the past couple of years? How was that, and how did it all work in terms of how you guys wanted to shape the offense?
I mean, I think there's a lot of wealth of knowledge of the game, and just listening to those two guys talk. I mean, just very, very respective in their fields and what they've accomplished so far as coaches. And so just being able to figure out, exactly who we want to be as an offense and, what we want to do, I think we've arrived at a really good point. And I think now is implementing those strategies, those mentalities, those identities. And, so far in spring ball, the second day was today, just continue to get better at the little things. Where we're going to be in 2022 is nowhere close to where we are right now. And so just continuing to build it from the ground up. We're not going to be a high-octane offense right now. We got to start from the ground up. We got to get the fundamentals, and then we got to focus on the scheme. So just being able to start back up from the ground up has been exciting for me. It's a new challenge for me. It's a new opportunity to prove myself, that there's room for me to grow and get better. And that's a challenge within itself. And then just holding the guys to the same accountable standard to grow and get better. And so I'm excited for spring ball so far and the things that we're doing, and we just got to keep working to get better.
Are there a lot of similarities for your receivers, or are there some differences? Is it both? How would you kind of sum that up?
I would probably say there are a lot of differences and a lot of similarities. No, there's some differences, some things that our guys have to get acclimated to, and they're adjusting to, and it's not gonna come overnight. So I think that the guys are bought in. Now it's just a matter of getting better at those little things that allow us to be consistent and perform at a high level. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a challenge, but that's why we're here. That's what college football is all about.
Spoke to Keaton a little bit a while ago, and one of the things he said he wanted to come back was because he wanted to learn under you and learn more about the wide receiver position. How much have you seen him grow? Because that's the one area that he keeps saying, no, that's where I want to learn about. I need to run better routes. I need to do my breaks better. How have you seen him grow in that position?
He asks a lot of questions, and he's always taking notes. And I think for him, there's so much that he wants to learn and so many things that he wants to get better at, but not overhauling him every day. So there's certain things that we can work on each day to learn to become consistent with. And the thing I keep trying to assure him is that it's not all going to happen in 15 practices. This is something that's going to continue to build through the off season, through fall camp, all the way through the season. And so just being patient with progress. That doesn't mean be comfortable or relaxed, but just understand that it's going to take time. Being a receiver is a craft. There's a lot that goes into becoming, an elite receiver, from your stance and your starts to pre-snap recognition to releases to top of your routes to understanding coverages to being aggressive at the catch point, being able to rebound the ball above the rim. There's so many different nuances, I guess. Nuances, is that correct? I don't know. So many different variations to being a good receiver that you can't accomplish everything overnight. So just being patient with progress and honing in on all the little things. But he's always willing to learn. He's always asking questions. So I've seen growth in him in just the little things. But he has to understand that we're gonna hold him accountable to the highest level to help him be the best that he can be. And I think so far he's up for the challenge. It hasn't been easy. Like, there's been some tough days in practice so far, but he's fun to coach. I'm glad he's a part of our team, and he's going to make us a better team in 2022.
Hey, Marcus, he was pretty good last year with a cast on his hand. And, still learning the position. I mean, what's his ceiling? I mean, how much better can he be?
I think KT would tell you, too, and these are, some of the talks that we have, like, offline. Like, there's so many little things that he can become better at. Some things that kind of he got by with or overlooked with just because he is such a good football player. And now just honing in on all the small details to allow his ability to complement his fundamentals. And that's when you get your players at their best. And so there's a lot of little things, and there's a play that he knows, that I know, that really has haunted him since it happened last year, and just ensuring things like that don't ever happen again, and really focusing on leaving 22 as one of the best chapters in UVA football history, and that's one of our goals this year.
And having been a quarterback, you'll probably always be a quarterback at heart. But seeing your guys do so much last year and how fun and crazy that was, how much of an adjustment is it going to be for you to have more balance this year?
I think every year is different. I think I'm sure the running backs will be excited to be involved in some balance and getting some carries. But I think within the system that we're going to run this year, I think that balance will help us. And balance is just meaning whatever is required to win the down. That's balance to us. So if it takes a pass play to win the down, then that's what we'll do. If it takes a run play to win the down, that's what we'll do. So balance to us is just whatever it requires to win the down. But I think there's going to be some different looks as far as offensively that we present this year, and I'm excited for what those things will be.
And Rashawn apparently had a really good pro day. When word gets out about stuff like that, how much can that help you in terms of bringing kids in, knowing they're going to develop and become, potential NFL players?
I think the more guys that are successful helps. I think that when guys have success here, I think that says a lot, because ultimately UVA is viewed as an academic school. So when sports do well in conjunction with academics, I think it opens the eyes to a lot of guys that they can do both and be successful here. So I'm excited for him, the next phase of his journey in life. Hopefully that takes him to the NFL, and hopefully that yields him the career that he's always dreamed of. If not, he's got an amazing education and degree from the University of Virginia, and he's a better person and a better man for having spent time here. So I'm really excited for him. I hope he does well. I hope he gets to hear his name called, and I hope that inspires the next group of guys to say, hey, I want to go to UVA, get amazing education, be around amazing coaches, amazing people, and I want to go to the NFL. I want to get drafted. I want to be a high draft pick, because you can't do that, and we need more of the right people that want to do that.
I think when we hang up, Jim's going to tell you to make it an academic school with 30 national championships or something like that.
Hey, the facts are there, so all I got to do is look them up. The facts are there.
Last season, you talked about kind of your relationship with Dontavian and how you were kind of pushing him. What is it like with Lavelle, especially? I mean, every guy you kind of coach a little bit differently, but what is that relationship like with him? Because he's talked a lot about wanting to be one of the best receivers in the country.
I think both of them are very unique in a way, and how you communicate with them and what they feel and what they've been through. The funny thing is, they were both primed to have great years 2 years ago, and then Tay broke his foot, and Lavelle kind of emerged on the scene. Then Tay came back, then Lavelle tore his ACL, and then Tay kind of had a pretty good year last year. And now, for the first time, really, they're back on the field together. So I think there's a lot of things that they'll be able to push each other with, compete against each other with, and just excited to have them on the field at the same time. When you coach them the same. It's just when you communicate and you talk to them, they come from different walks of life, but there's a lot of similarities. And so just understanding, each person is different, just like each coach is different. And so understanding like how you communicate with each of them is huge. But they've really been a pleasure to coach here at UVA, along with the rest of the guys that I coach as well. But they're good guys, and I'm excited for them.
Let's take one last question for Coach.
Marques, you were talking earlier about installing the offense and working with the new staff. How much input have you provided just in terms of what worked last year, especially with so many guys that you're at receiver back, having Brennan back? How much input have you provided, and how much maybe will we see some of that?
I think my job is to do what's asked of me, and I understand that what was last year and what we're doing this year is this year. So one of the things I told myself from day one is what we did last year didn't matter. I'm just here to understand and learn what we're going to be doing, what our identity, what our offensive scheme is going to be, and invest everything in that. If I'm asked, then I'll share. If not, it doesn't matter. So to me, just being able to buy into exactly what we're doing, the guys have bought in, and now it's just a matter of getting better at all those fundamentals and details of our offense this year, and excited for that. And I know we've been talking a lot about Lavelle and Tay, but KT, I'm also, everybody's quietly forgetting about Billy Kemp too. So as soon as we get him back and get him up healthy, he's kind of that guy in the group, that unsung hero sometimes. Like, he's the guy that brings that toughness, that mentality. As people like to say, that dog to the group, and you don't realize how much you miss him until you go out to practice and you don't have him. Just being able to look over and say, go get him, go in there, and you kind of miss that. So I'm patiently waiting for the days when he returns back to the field. But I think that's just another added dimension that's really going to help our offense be successful this year. So I'm excited for the group, to say the least, and just knowing that comes with high expectations, but that's the expectation every year, is to be the best group in the country. So we just got to continue to focus on the little things, continue to work hard, and the rest will take care of itself.
Hey, good luck with that haircut. Don't let him take too much off, man.